crew of them, you know, Glaze and some other brothers, and you know, and they used to go out, you know, every time you hear somebody doing something, they used to go out there and do crazy shit, you know, come back and then you hear all the shit they did and all shit like that. This was the gang side, like we had war with the Jamaicans, and from there everybody started calling us the A-Team. And from there, we just had a strictly code that nobody we didn't know couldn't walk on this side. And even people that lived in the projects, they know like if they didn't have the communication with us, they couldn't walk on over on this side.
Brian by himself went to these guys and approached, you understand, one of the leaders and say, yo, listen here, as long as you don't mess with me or my family, I ain't got nothing against you. He did this on his own.
I got me a gun, a 38, and I walked through there. And as I walked through there, you know, say, whip the gun and my thing, and I walked through the side, waiting for somebody from the A-Team or anywhere come up to me and say anything. Because if they would have, the first thing for me, I'm gonna blast them in their face.
I remember when Glaze started working with the A-Team, and he would come in the building and see us. We would play pity pat, and he would see us. Sometimes he would give us money.
Glaze and somebody else came home, you know, and I was telling my people, I said, yo, you know, we should put them down. But my man was like, nah. But then Glaze came over himself, and he talked to my man, and they made an agreement. Next thing I know, he was down with us. You know what I'm saying?
I was around when the A-Team and Brian took over Fountain Avenue. And during that time, I always had my question, why did he go with these guys?
Brian Gibbs basically took over that side of the project and on Fountain Avenue by force. He was a gunman, and you know, he was somebody to be feared, somebody to be reckoned with, and I believe that whoever had it before he took it realized he was a force to be reckoned with, and maybe it was better to back down than confront him.
It was a very significant setback, not only for me, the police department, and the district attorney's office, because we believed that we had Brian, quote unquote, dead to rights. The wrinkle in the whole situation was that the individual who confessed and agreed to cooperate refused to cooperate against Brian. His fear of Brian and his fear of Brian's retaliation against him and his family members prevented him from actually following through on the deal. So as a result, the case became relatively weak.
Even when he wasn't around, he was around. I mean, his people were around, and people were fearful. So even when he was in jail, I don't feel like anybody decided they were going to just take over for Brian Gibbs. You know, you were going to have to earn your spot if you got that spot. You know, you were going to have to take the way he took it, you were going to have to take it back that way.
I'm going with Cat.
The decision he made to go work in Queens, I never really agreed with it, because by then we was getting plenty of money. So I didn't feel the need that he should have took that on.
He was telling us, yo, I'm gonna be fucking with Catton when I come home. I was like, yo, them dudes is already hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, to fuck with them individuals, like, shit gonna, you know, shit gonna get crazy. And you know, but that's the decision he made, you know.
By the mid to late 80s, Brian had associated himself with probably the most ruthless and notorious cocaine crack enterprise in the city, that being Howard Pappy Mason and Lorenzo Fat Cat Nichols. Brian was a competitor of theirs for a period of time, but they were smart enough to see the utility and value of having someone as dangerous as Brian on their side, and they recruited Brian to be one of their top lieutenants and to take over the East New York section of their operation. By then, because that organization was suspected of actually killing a parole officer Brian Rooney in 1985, they were all over everyone's radar screen. So Brian's name started to appear and come across my desk on a fairly regular and consistent basis.
He was building a name, in and out of prison, in the jailhouse, you know. And I mean, he really had a reputation of cats fearing him at that time, you understand? So.
And Eminem, Money and Murder.
He came to my house one day, you know, he like, you know, to my mom, he said, Miss Marlene, he said, yeah, my name is Eminem now. So like, my mom like, what's Eminem? He said, Money and Murder.
By the mid-1980s, I had started hearing the name Brian Gibbs on a regular basis. He had emerged as a street thug in East New York section of Brooklyn, who had then morphed into a drug dealer. And I was starting to hear more and more about violence associated with Brian and his operation in the Pink Houses and the Cypress Houses in the East New York section of Brooklyn.
We knew that he had an association with the guys out in Queens. Mm-hmm. We weren't sure, you know, that he was in, you know, what his involvement or how the involvement entangled with Brooklyn, but we knew that he was involved with these guys in Queens.
I had initiated a special task force within the DA's office, where I was deputy chief at that time, the Special Investigations Unit, which was specifically designed to amass intelligence on drug operations throughout the county and throughout the city. It's difficult for me to try to quantify or extrapolate just how much Brian and the people associated with Fat Cat and Pappy were making, but I could tell you that they were moving kilos of cocaine, they were selling crack by the barrel load, and in effect had become crack pioneers, because they realized, and were some of the first people to realize, that they can get twice and sometimes 3 times the value of crack cocaine out of the city. And they created a pipeline up and down the eastern seaboard, all the way down to Virginia, where they were getting $40, $50, $60 for a $10 vial of crack. They were way ahead of their time.
Hey, good day. Hey, thank you for joining me. Hey, my name is Brian Glaze Gibbs. I'm your host. This is my platform. Hit the like button, subscribe. Hey, listen, folks, you know, a lot of times what you do is you sit back and you think about it and you see what's out there, whatever. Folks, listen, man, it's a lot of negativity stuff that's out there. Even now, like, you know, it's a little drama going along with me and my brother. And you know what? As I sit back and I think about it, you know what? To me, I'm at a place in my life where I'm at peace. I'm happy. I'm in love with myself. Right now, I work out. Like I say, and to me, I relieve a lot of frustration. And to be healthy, when you look good, you feel good, you do good. And even by me going to the gym, and honestly speaking, ever since I started taking this Panoxol, P-A-N-O-X-O-L, you know, right now I'm just start, like, you know, working out, like feeling like fresh. Like, you know, I told people, I joke all the time that I'm 90. That's the way I feel. But the difference is, when I'm sitting back, I'm thinking I'm happy. And I got good relationship with good people. And 2 of my buddies, you know, right now, one buddy, Brad, one buddy, Derek. These are guys that, you know, I know from Brooklyn that came up in the same environment, like me, my brothers, and so many others. And you know what? They both just, you know, retire, you know, within the last few years. So I'm asking Brad, why you never got caught up in the street? Why you never, you know, went out there with Scooter and all those other guys and Speedy and all those guys and, you know, Smiles and, you know, got caught up into that? And basically what he told me, he said, look, man, he said, one time I was hanging out and I went past my curfew and I came upstairs. And he said, when I came upstairs, he said, my dad was waiting for me. He didn't say a word. He just cold hook, boom, knocked me the heck out. He said, when I woke up that morning, I'm like, whoa, my head was still spinning and I wound up getting in bed. Then next thing you know, later on that day, my dad come to me, hey boy, you not going outside? He said, nah. He said, nah, man, go ahead, go outside. He said he thought it was a setup. But he said, okay, he went outside. But he made sure he was back way before curfew. Interesting point. I like that. Okay? Now, the brother Derek just retired. Right now, one as a correctional officer, one at Con Edison. And basically what he told me, he basically told me the same thing. When his friends and them used to be hanging out around Brevoorts, on the avenue, hustling, doing different things. And he wanted to do that. He said when he first started, He was only making $6. $6 an hour while his friends out there driving around with the fancy cars, the Beamers, the Benz, the Bobos, you know what? The Audis, wearing the truck jewelry. But right now, every day he was going to work, making $6. And his mom used to tell him, don't worry about it. It's going to get better. But what he told me is this. I said, why you never get caught up? Why? He said, man, listen, I was more afraid of my father than I was afraid of the police. Whoa. Two different individuals, two same thing. They both were successful because they had their father in their life. And you know what? As I sit back and I think about that or whatever, and shout out to Derek, shout out to Brad. Hope you don't mind me sharing this, but I think about that. Imagine if me and my brother had our biological father in our life, how different our life could have been. Right now is a good way that me and him I probably wouldn't have had Kane, Brian Glaze Gibbs. And right now, probably I wouldn't be going through what I'm going through with him now. Because sometimes people, we don't even understand what love is. Sometimes I think because you give somebody money, love, or because you'll shoot somebody because they hurt them, love. Nah, sometimes you got to give them that hug. You got to hug them. I love you. Look them in their eyes. I love you. Love go deeper than the original surface. And sometimes what I think we as people have to get back to the basic principles and start, you know what I'm saying, loving these kids, teaching these kids. I'm thinking right now with the father, with the mother, whether y'all together or not, stay in these kids' life. Take the time and put that energy in them to mold them, to give them structure, to give them direction, to give them a roadmap to be successful. We can do it. We can do it. Opposed to we bickering and, you know, going back and forth that we don't get along. No, we got to focus. It's not about us no more. It's about those kids. Right now, stop making these kids turn to the street. Stop making these kids feeling that street life, that hustle life is worth it. It's not worth it, folks. Listen, take it from somebody that know. I know. And what I'm just trying to say right now, folks, listen, I was once the problem. Now I'm seeking to be part of the solution. Hey, hit that like button. Subscribe. Share. Like I said, get your signed copy of the Brian Glaze Gibbs book by emailing me, Brian, B-R-I-A-N, Gibbs, G-I-B-B-S, 1201 at yahoo.com. Keep this in mind, folks. If I can change, anybody can change. And right now, it wasn't easy, but I did. I got the help that I need. I feel good, look good, and I'm doing good. Peace, love, and prosperity.
What is Panoxol? Panoxol is an over-the-counter, 100% natural nutritional supplement. Those who take Panoxol regularly have reported improved blood pressure, better blood flow to the heart, and increased oxygen flow to the brain, increasing mental alertness. What makes Panoxol so powerful is its perfect balance of safe, natural amino acids and herbs. Each of the ingredients brings its own benefits to promoting overall cardiovascular health, which can also contribute to lowering risks for stroke, heart attack, and kidney failure. To learn more about the ingredients in Panoxol and see the research yourself, visit us online at www.panoxol.com. Help your heart today with Panoxol. We guarantee you'll feel better with Panoxol. Visit us online or by calling toll-free 1-844-PANOXOL. That's 1-844-726-6965. Feel better, live stronger. Panoxol, that's all.